Hello and welcome to the final day of Brexit Bootcamp. It has been a fantastic few days learning about how to prepare your business for the end of the EU transition period. So thank you for everyone who has joined over the last few days, got involved, and asked your questions live. My name is Alex Wyatt from simplyvet.com, and today we have a very special panel discussion with seasoned sellers and entrepreneurs. So first of all, we are going to be joined by Brad from Rarewaves, Shelley from Scaleforetail, Simas, a 7-figure seller, and Lyden from Titan Network and Ignite Brands. So if you have any questions to ask our panel today, please make sure you are in the YouTube live page and comment in the chat box. If you're watching from the Eventbrite page, please click on the YouTube link in your email we sent you. That will bring you right into the live event so you can get involved. Today, we have a very special moderator for our panel. We have Augustas from Klik. He has been running webinars and sharing loads of content for Amazon sellers over on his YouTube channel. He also hosts a series of virtual events and some of the best live events around Europe. So if you haven't gotten involved in some of his events, you can check out his latest virtual summit coming up at the end of September called Seller Fest. So he's going to be joining us. Here he is. Hi, Augustas. Thank you so much.
Hello, it's nice to see you here. So
you are going to be leading our panel discussion with our 4 expert entrepreneurs here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it on over to you. You can lead the panel and I'll catch up with you at the end of the session. So I'll speak to you soon.
All right, so let's start with introducing our panelists. So let's start with ladies. So I will bring Shelley. Shelley, could you please very shortly introduce yourself, like within 30-40 seconds, what you do, what is your maybe company based, so that later we talk about this and refer to this country and VAT regulations.
Sure. Hi. So I'm Shelley Simone, and I'm both here in the capacity as an Amazon seller. I have 2 Amazon native brands that I started building on Amazon in 2015. But I also run Scaleforetail, which is a community for UK-based Amazon sellers. And we run various educational events, meetups when we're able to, obviously, and we do webinars for the community. So whenever I think about Brexit or Q4 or any of the activities, I always have these 2 hats that I wear. I think about what I need to do for my own businesses and actually what would benefit the community.
Cool. Thank you very much. So let's bring Brad Aspess. I know that you are selling online for 15 years, right? Could you give us a short introduction?
Yeah, I have a company called Rarewaves that I founded about 15 years ago. We are a reseller of about 1 million different products. We sell from the UK to, I think it was 170 countries last year. We also have a US business, Rarewaves USA, which buys locally and sells worldwide. The UK business buys from around Europe, brings product into the UK and Germany and ships from there.
Great. So let's bring an Amazon seller. So Simas, could you please introduce yourself and how is your business doing in Europe?
Hello, everyone. My name is Simone. I'm Amazon figure seller. I'm selling on all major Amazon marketplaces around the world, in North America and Europe. Business and headquarters are located in Vilnius, the capital, Lithuania, and that's how we are running the business from Lithuania to around the world.
All right. So, and the last but not least, Lyden, could you please give us a little bit bio of yourself?
Thanks, Augustas. Yeah, I'm also an Amazon seller. So I started selling on Amazon in 2015. I'm the co-founder of Ignite Brands. We currently manage 20 Amazon accounts and have a team of around 30. Some of our own brands, some joint venture deals and account management. Collective turnover of 8 figures in sales on Amazon per year. across most marketplaces. USA being a big part of it, but had some good success in Europe, taking a supplement brand from 0 to 350k in 18 months in just the European marketplaces. And I'm also a leader at Titan Network, which is an invite-only membership organization for Amazon sellers.
All right, so a lot of e-commerce specialists. So during our discussion, let's focus on first on Q4, then on Brexit, which probably is happening. Well, it's happening next year, and there are some complications and changes in the tax system and everything else. So we'll ask you, how do you deal with that? And if we have time, we can talk more about 2021, how you're gonna organize the business. So let's talk about Q4. For e-commerce sellers, what kind of suggestions and tips you can give in order to prepare properly and to maximize their sales? So any kind of thoughts which come to your mind, what you are doing in your business differently in this month, for example. So I don't know, Shelley, do you want to share something, what you do?
Sure. I have two different kinds of brands, one of which has something like a 10,000% uplift in December. It is just the most remarkable time of year for us. And so I have to make sure that my suppliers are able to deliver. Luckily, so this is for a beauty brand. And so we source domestically in America for the US market and domestically in the UK for the European market. So they're working to really tight production schedules. And the objective is that we have all of our inventory in at Amazon, but we can work with fairly short timescales, which is great. Because we're really shipping from just down the road from an Amazon warehouse. So we progressively essentially deliver all of our inventory to cover that very high volume in December, but we make sure that it's in by about mid-November. On my other business, which is where I source products from China, actually, I have spent the whole week making sure that everything is on the boat. So that's a very different kind of business. And it means that I have to make sure my inventory is delivered into either America or indeed into the UK, into my third-party warehouses. And then we drip feed the inventory. But again, we make sure that everything's in, kind of by around the beginning to middle of November, but we're progressively drip feeding in.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of kind of things to organize in terms of inventory. Brad, you're selling on many platforms, right? How do you organize your big business?
We sell on every platform. Q4, obviously at retail level, is the most important time of the year. So we're very customer centric. We try and follow Amazon's mindset. So we're very focused on making sure our suppliers stay in line and get delivery times right during Q4. We're also quite tough with them that if they fall behind or they have individual issues, that we don't get hit by that. So we will suspend suppliers if they fall behind metrics that we place on our suppliers. We also make sure that we bolster our customer service. We do customer service in local language for Japanese, German, French, Italian, Spanish. And we make sure that as new platforms come along, so I think Amazon have opened in the Netherlands earlier this year, and they have a plan to open in Sweden later in the year, that we're covered on customer service for them from day one. Stocks, the most important commodity we have. We have to make sure that we get it in and we get it out. We have to make sure that our mail carriers are all working properly. And we have to monitor them all the time. It's more important in Q4 because everything's a bit more urgent. The consumer wants it just that little bit faster. They don't wait that extra day as they maybe will do in the summer. And we're expecting a very big Q4. I think what's happened with the pandemic has meant that people have got used to buying online at home, and this will be a first Christmas where I think there will be an even bigger surge than there usually is at that time of year.
All right, thank you very much. Lyden, you work with a lot of brands, right? So can you share some ideas what you are doing with all the clients and your
Yeah, of
brands?
course. So agree with what's been said already. We're preparing for the biggest Q4 yet. Each year seems to get bigger and bigger, obviously, but this year we're expecting from what Brad was saying there. Got new buyers on Amazon. People obviously not leaving their homes and stuff and doing a lot more shopping online. So we're preparing for a huge surge this year. And again, yeah, coming back to what was said about having enough stock on hand. Most years we underestimate the stock we're going to need. And surpass our sales targets, which is great. So just make sure you've got enough stock in hand. We've got some big days coming up with Prime Day on Amazon, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, huge days. They're starting to offer out the deals for those things now. So make sure you get the deals booked before they disappear. But again, coming back to the point around stock, make sure you've got the stock to fulfill. And with Amazon, if you've got products that may be overstocked, lightning deals and Black Friday deals aren't necessarily the way to sort of shift some of that stock that you can't normally get rid of. What normally happens is products that do very well normally will also do very well on those deals. So sort of focus on those best sellers. Make sure you've got plenty of stock on hand for those. And then something else that we're sort of seeing with Amazon at the moment is struggling to get stock in. With the increase in sales that we're seeing because of the pandemic, they're limiting the amount of stock you can hold in Amazon. They're limiting on new products, sometimes only 200 units you can send in. So it's very important to have a third-party warehouse. Shelley touched on the fact that she's got 3PLs sort of waiting there. So I would recommend for everybody to have a third-party warehouse to hold extra stock to make sure that you can get stock in. You can't send direct to Amazon, which is sometimes a little bit easier. Plus, storage fees are looking expensive. Also, a third-party warehouse that can fulfill single units as from an FBM, fulfilled by merchant standpoint, is very important as well. Because processing times, if you do run out of stock, processing times to get stock back in are looking longer and longer, especially as you come into the busy period. And if we can't get stock into the FBA warehouses, to have that option to turn on FBM and still benefit from those sales during the busy period is very important. So big one for me would be have a third-party warehouse that can fulfill single units as a backup.
So can you recommend few warehouses in UK and I don't know, in Germany? Do you know any names that people can get some practical advice immediately?
So we use one for our brands in the UK called SSD. They're out in Stratford. However, they're nearly at capacity. A lot of the Amazon sellers that know what's coming up and sort of hitting it, but there are plenty out there, and there's new ones popping up because they can see the sort of trend that's emerging. So there are plenty out there. I will do my homework and see what I can find. If anyone wants to reach out to me afterwards, then I'm sure I can gather a few names that might be able to help.
All right, cool. So let's talk to Simas. Simas, you are located in Eastern Europe and your business is running from there. Can you share with us what are you planning during Q4? Because you are shipping also from Lithuania, right?
So the basic idea, what we are doing is we don't rely on suppliers. Like we source some products from China, so we did the orders in advance. We ordered everything and we delivered everything not straight to Amazon, but to Lithuania, to our own warehouse. And we are running not third-party warehouse, but we are running our own personal warehouse. We have employees to manage the stock. That helps us to manage the Amazon limitations right now, when the Amazon put limitations, as Lyden said, sometimes up to 200 units. So we running the business like this, it allows us to ship in small batches. We don't need to buy in bulk from China and then ship directly to Amazon in bulk, even the Amazon does not accept that kind of amount. We have sorting facility here, and we ship in small batches. That allows us to be in stock, and that what we believe will help us on Q4, just to control the stock limits and never get out of stock. So we bought in advance even more. Probably we overstocked at some kind of SKUs, But right now, we believe that this kind of strategy will help us to maintain into the business.
All right, thank you. So, what all of you are doing in terms of PPC for the paid traffic, bringing to your Amazon listings, or Brad is probably using some other kind of advertising on other platforms. Are you increasing budgets, or do you use some kind of strategies specifically for this season? I don't know. Lyden, do you want to say something about this?
Yeah, of course. So on the days that we touched on, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, stuff like that, we're aiming on visibility and just trying to gather up all those sales. Now, everybody pushes their budgets and their bids to try and appear at the top of the page. But before that, what we're trying to do at this time, before that surge kicks in, is we're checking all our listings and their organic ranking and just doing what we can to make sure that we're positioned highly on the page. So we're not so reliant on PPC. However, on those sort of days and leading into end of November, beginning of December, we're seeing very high conversion rates. So we're willing to give the extra budget and make sure that we're picking up on those sales by pushing the bids and pushing the budgets on our products to show at the top of the page. Those increased conversion rates sort of counteract the cost per click, and we really push for it. So what you might lose slightly in profit per product because you're pushing so hard on PPC, you make up for in volume by making sure you're showing at the top of the page. You just really want to drive visibility and making sure your product's everywhere it possibly can be.
All right. Simas, do you have any advice in terms of paid traffic?
Well, during all the summertime, we did huge audits on our PPC campaigns, made optimization. We hired third-party services to help us to optimize all the campaigns. And yesterday, what we did, we increased bids and we increased monthly ad spend budgets, probably in 20-30%. Like, the main idea is to get in the best positions we can when the Q4 starts. Like in the middle of November, beginning of November, let's say, we want to be at the top positions we can. So right now we will start overspend probably on ads, but we want to be on top.
Everyone wants to be on the top. Brad, what do you do?
We don't want to be on the top. We're a reseller, so we don't use any paid services. What we want to do is really invest that in the customer's idea that we are a safe place to buy from, that they will get what they order in a timely fashion with good customer service. And because we don't own any of the brands that we're selling, we are not really in a position to want to promote any of those individual brands. So in the same way, we do not use FBA. We do use a 3PL ourselves. We used to do it ourselves, but it was the biggest barrier to growth I could see was to do it yourself. And then you had to employ more people and get bigger doors to send things in and out of. So we outsourced it and it's gone very well. And just following on Lyden's point, I think most of these companies are pretty maxed out at the moment. So if you can find one, I'd suggest you get in earlier rather than leave it till the last minute.
So you don't even have your own stock?
No, we don't own any stock. We have 150 supply partners that do have stock on the floor, and they deliver to our fulfillment house the following morning, and then it's all in the mail by lunchtime that day. So we have a very large volume of stock and a very quick turnaround for it. And then it's all on planes to Australia, Japan, Canada, the US, within 24 hours.
All right. Interesting. So yeah, if anyone has questions about what maybe Brad does or Amazon selling related to Q4 or Brexit, you can leave comments in the comment section of this stream. And Shelley, could you give us some input on PPC strategies you're going to implement?
Yeah, so for the beauty brand in particular, where, like I said, we get this we just turn into a completely different business over the course of December. Obviously, we go through the same kind of strategies that Lyden talked about So in the build up, like now, we're looking at our listings, we're making sure that we're happy with them. We're probably changing some of the images around, adding, embellishing, making it even better. And then by the time Black Friday rolls around, we are a massively big spender on PPC with Amazon. We're probably, ranking amongst some of the biggest spenders, and we have to, partly because what we find is that just pulls through an awful lot more volume, which we would have got anyway, you could say, but actually we probably get even more because of the way that we're using Amazon PPC. And we have a really particular strategy. I don't manage that. My business partner, Richard, manages it. And he's really good at it. But we do things like day parting. So we allow everybody else to spend themselves to death in the mornings. And then we kick in the afternoons. We pick certain days where there is a lot more sales to be gotten. Obviously, the weekends are much better at that time of year. So we really manage the campaigns extremely tightly, but we go for we go big or we go home. And also the other thing that we find at this time of year is that we can raise our prices, which to some extent compensates for the margin that we're giving away in terms of PPC. And that actually intensifies as you get closer and closer to the deadline before Christmas. So we have these products that are very gift orientated. And one thing that we do find is that certain people don't plan well, even though Christmas rolls around every single year. And so they get really desperate to find gifts that they can that they can give. And actually what we also find is that we get a lot of multi-buys. So, someone might buy, they're very lazy, actually, people sometimes. So they'll buy all 7 of our different products and just be done with their gift shopping for the season. So, we do find that the business just turns in a completely different direction over the course of December. Our other brand, which is a kitchen brand, it has an uplift, but it's a little bit more normative. Like it goes up about 250%, which is very, very good, but it isn't anywhere near like the other gift-orientated brand. But that's partly because even with the kitchen brand, we produce packaging to go with our product that makes it very giftable. And so even though these are very practical products that people use around the home, we make it very easy to gift them to friends and family, obviously.
All right. I think I can hear myself. It's probably from
Sorry, Augustas, if I could just add to that, just to build on what Shelley said there is when it comes to PPC, and this time of year, what you need to do is take a look at your products, and if they are giftable, take a look at the keywords that you're focusing on, and make sure you're sort of hitting the focus. So one of your products, the main keyword in the summer might be very different to what it is in the winter, namely being gifts for dad or gifts for wife or gifts for her, gifts for him, things like that. So there's some of the keywords that you really want to be showing up for. If you've got a very giftable product. So what we do is we build out separate campaigns that will focus mainly around gifts, around Christmas and Thanksgiving and different things like that. So there's just something else to focus on. Make sure you're indexing for those keywords by having them in the back end and maybe in the front end of the listing as well. But those sort of keywords you can really target because they're going to get a lot of exposure during the Christmas period.
Good. Thank you very much, Lyden. And let's now switch gears and let's go to talk about Brexit. And I will bring Alex on the stage so that she gives a 2-minute, introduction. What's gonna change for e-commerce sellers after New Year?
Yeah. So Brexit is going to impact quite a lot of businesses. And the reason for this is because everything is going to be seen as an export from the UK and an import into the EU, or vice versa, an export from the EU and an import into the UK. So for a lot of people using fulfillment by Amazon, Amazon has stated that they're not going to be shipping goods between the UK and the EU, or even fulfilling orders, especially through the Pan-EU program, where you can normally import your goods into the UK fulfillment centers, and then Amazon would, ship your goods between the 6 other EU countries. Amazon is no longer going to be doing this. So this is going to change up a lot of how people are going to be strategizing their supply chains, how they're going to be getting their goods to their customers, and even reevaluate their businesses if it's even worth entering into the EU or the UK, and we're even, doubling down on businesses, or certain markets. So I'd be interested definitely to hear from you guys to see if there is specific markets that you guys are going to be focusing on after Brexit. Are you doubling down somewhere? Or are you still going all out UK and Europe? This doesn't change for you. I'm interested to know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. Let's start with Brad. I think it sounds like for you, Brad, it's easy. You don't need to organize anything because your stock doesn't belong to you. You have suppliers.
We started with FBA in about 2009, and we put in a large parcel of product, and it went pretty well in the UK. So to get to Germany, they wanted to put the same product into Germany. By the time I'd been over to Germany, met them, they decided that they could do cross-border trade. So we had to bring all the product back into one place in the UK. And then they started moving the goalposts on cost. So from that point on, we decided not to use FBA again, which is 10 years now. And it's worked very well for us because it meant that we did it ourselves, and we don't have all these changes coming up that everybody else will face in what's going to happen with stock that is in FBA. Not that FBA is a bad thing. It does work for a lot of people, especially with a brand. But earlier in the year, with the pandemic going on, some companies couldn't get stock into Amazon or get their stock out of Amazon to sell it themselves. And they got left behind a little bit. We have been sitting on launching Rarewaves GmbH for 2 years now, waiting for Brexit. So which Brexit was going to be March 2019, I think, long ago as that. And we're now looking at some tax changes in July of next year. It's really difficult to try and work out where we should position ourselves as a business when the government don't really have an idea of where they're going to be. And any changes that are coming in with Amazon at the moment, and with eBay and others, may well change. So all we can do is really focus on that once it happens. So let the government make the decisions, make the changes, see what happens, and then we're all small companies, so we're all light on our feet. So we should be able to react very quickly and not have a 6 month or years run up into what are you going to do for Brexit. Amazon, as you probably know, is still phoning people as of yesterday saying, are you prepared for Brexit? My guys always say the same thing, which is tell us exactly what's going to happen and we'll tell you how prepared we are. But it's still just a word, Brexit. We're not sure what it means. We get closer every day, but we're not there yet. So we think we're as prepared as we can be. We have suppliers in, I think, 14 EU states at the moment that deliver into the UK for us. If we find that we have to deliver direct from the EU into the EU, as opposed to the UK, we'll do that. But it's really difficult for any company sitting there at the moment trying to plan what's going to happen when the people that are going to make the changes haven't decided what they're going to do yet. Sorry if that's a bit sort of long-winded and a bit negative about it all, but all we can do is really focus on Q4 and what we want to achieve as a business.
And someone from our audience actually is interested about your business. Is it drop shipping? I know you introduced a little bit at the beginning, but could you just give us a little bit?
So we don't actually drop ship. What we do is we buy the product, it comes into our fulfillment house, and we ship from there. So because we're selling so much product, it's quite easy to see patterns of product. Different categories will do well at different times. So Q4 for us will be computer games, computer accessories. October will be fancy dress. January in Europe is also fancy dress, the festival. And then vinyl sells all year round. So it's not that difficult to actually plan what you're going to sell, as long as your suppliers can deliver very fast. And some of ours deliver same day. So does that answer the question?
I hope so. Yeah, we will wait for the person who asked to respond. So, Shelley, how you are reorganizing your business to manage the inventory changes, and Pani, you probably a program for you.
Yeah, so I have decided that I'm not going to wait for the UK government to tell us what they're going to do. I don't see that this is going to emerge, with a great deal. So what I've decided to do is to go around things, and I've gone to Estonia, and I've set myself up with a digital citizenship, which allows me to set up my company in Estonia. And so I am basically going to be operating for the purposes of Europe as a European company. And I'm going to be shipping my China. This is very much for my second brand, for my kitchen brand. So we'll be shipping from China probably into Germany. I haven't quite worked out whether I'll be going into Germany or France. And I'm still talking to freight forwarders and customs brokers to truly understand some of the issues around that. But my plan will be to take part of my European inventory or order and part ship to the UK, part ship, let's say, to Germany, and I don't use pan-EU FBA, I use EFN. And that is because in some of the countries like Italy and Spain, and probably the Netherlands, and no doubt Sweden when it comes online, I'm well below the tax reporting threshold or the tax registration threshold. Whereas in other countries like Germany, where I will be VAT registered, and France, where I will probably be VAT registered, as well as the UK, I am selling beyond those thresholds. So I choose to use the European fulfillment network for that reason. And all I will do is essentially pick the country I send my inventory into, let's call it Germany for the sake of argument. That country will be delivering my product to the end customer when I use Amazon to deliver that. But I will also try and find a third-party warehouse, because I'm always drip feeding my inventory into Amazon. I would never deliver all of it into Amazon in one go. There's too much risk associated with that. And also you need to manage the inventory performance index, which is essentially a penalty if you have more inventory than you're selling at any one time. So the third-party warehouse will be able to offer me both filtering my inventory into Amazon for FBA, and that'll be using, let's say, Germany as my central hub for Europe, as well as doing my FBM orders. So right now, all of my FBM orders come out of my warehouse in the UK, but in future, it'll happen from 2 different centers in Europe.
And actually, when you were explaining your restructuring of the business, you said you registered company in Estonia. So my question is, why do you need why can't you run business in Europe with UK company? And also someone in the audience is also asking why Estonia specifically?
So I want to benefit from the fact that it will be easier for me to bring my cargo into any other European country, but being a European company. I will benefit from not paying tariffs, whereas if I'm a UK company, I may end up having to pay the kind of tariffs that a country outside of Europe would have to pay. So being on the WTO terms. So it saves me in terms of tariffs and duty. It doesn't save me necessarily in terms of freight, but it does save me a lot of bureaucracy because I will be shipping as a European company into a European country. And actually, there's a trade agreement that's just been signed between Europe and China. So I'm actually hoping that my goods will be tariff-free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to set up a European company. And Estonia allows you to do everything digitally. And it's super fast. It took 3 weeks for me to get my digital residency. It'll take no more than a day to get my EORI number, which is the importer number that you need. It'll take, it takes less than 7 days to set up your company. There is a bit of extra administration. You have to do accounts for that company. But there are facilitators out there, company formation businesses that help you with that. I've spoken to a good number of them because, as I said at the start, when I do something for me, I also think about the benefit for the Scaleforetail community. So I will probably strike a deal with both the freight forwarders, the company formation experts I use. I will obviously use Simply VAT to do my VAT registration, but I'm pulling it together in a way that makes sense for my business.
All right. So yeah, sounds like Estonian company is really a smooth and easy process. Simas, I wanted to ask you. You have opposite situation. Your business is in EU, and now UK is gonna separate. What you will do?
Well, probably I will not establish another company in UK. I believe that since I'm shipping everything from Lithuania to worldwide warehouses, let's say in Canada or USA, I still pay custom duties. So probably another country will add. So that's okay for me. It will be much easier for me to manage my business from one central headquarters. And what comes with the Brexit, what comes to my mind when I'm preparing for it, how much money I will have to invest into different warehouse. Since Amazon announced that they will not make cross-border sales with the UK and the rest of Europe, so then probably I will need to invest more in stock and ship them to UK warehouses. Right now, I'm shipping everything to Germany or Poland, since those countries are much closer to Lithuania. So then I will need to, and then Amazon delivers all the products with the pan-European program throughout the Europe. And when the Brexit comes, probably I will need to double my inventory and ship products to Germany and to UK. So that's the main reason what I'm concerned about. And then, like right now, I'm picking up the products, which ones are the most popular in UK, and those products will be stocked in the UK warehouses.
Mm-hmm. As a Lithuanian company.
Can I just jump in
Sure.
with something? I know that I shouldn't, but I was going to ask Simas if he can give us some connections into who he's working with in Germany, if anyone, if he's using a third-party warehouse.
No. Sorry. Yeah. So Shelley, no, we are not using third-party warehouses. We use our own warehouse in Lithuania, where we get the products out of China or other suppliers in Europe. We collect here. We assemble final products, since we are partial manufacturer, partially seller, but all the 4 brands are our own private label. So we have our own warehouse with sorting facility. We pick, pack, and ship directly to Amazon by ourselves. So we don't have anything in Germany. So sorry, with this topic, I cannot recommend you anything. But with the warehouses in Lithuania, probably I could help you somehow. Even if you have Estonian company, it's quite close to.
Yes.
So yeah. So.
All right, and thank you, Simas. And Lyden, can you give us an overview what you are doing? What's your plan in restructuring the business, or I don't know, for the Brexit?
Yeah, so I actually see, for a lot of sellers, I see it being a big opportunity, the Brexit thing, with bringing in the complications when it comes to pan-European shipping. So we don't actually use pan-European shipping. I'm not really a fan of it. I'll speak about that in a minute. But what a lot of UK sellers and US sellers, because it's easy, because it's an English-speaking country, they'll hold their stock in the UK and use pan-European for shipping out. So what I think will happen, and what I'm predicting, is that we're going to lose a lot of the competition, where a US seller or a UK seller doesn't want to try and ship stock directly to Germany or France or Italy or something like that. So I see it as a big opportunity where, for our current products, we might lose some of our competition, and anybody looking to get into those countries, they're going to have a bit of a clearer run. So as I say, we don't use pan-European or EFN usually. In some cases we do, but not normally. We send stock directly to the country's FBA warehouse if that country looks like it can provide a good additional revenue to our overall revenue of the company. So the reason with pan-European is that I don't want Amazon having control over the stock and shipping it wherever they want. If sales drop somewhere and there's stock in Spain but not in Italy, then we've seen issues like that. You have to be registered for VAT in all countries where they're going to hold the stock, and you have to be live in all marketplaces as well for them to be able to do it. So what we tend to do, it's very easy just to turn on Pan-EU, have the listings live in all countries. But if Italy or Spain doesn't look like it's going to bring me enough revenue, then I don't want to be putting my efforts into running that country and looking after customer service and running PPC, because the demand isn't really there. So I don't want to be live in those countries. Now, if I'm not live in those two countries, then Pan-EU doesn't work for the other ones anyway. So it's sort of, you can have your listing live, put a high price on it, or not put the effort into translating it properly and looking after it properly. But I don't really want to do something half-hearted like that, because it doesn't reflect well on the brand. So as I say, we tend to send stock directly to a country if we believe it's going to be good for that product. And you might want to have some products live in Germany, some in Italy, and different ones in the UK based on the demand in each country. So we do the research based on each country. And then with EFN, I don't like EFN. Now, if Shelley, if your margins sort of allow you to use EFN, but obviously it's a lot more expensive. So again, another reason to ship directly. And the other thing is, you don't need to register for VAT in that country if you use EFN until you hit a threshold. However, the threshold in Italy and Spain, I think last time I checked, was something like 30k per year. Now, if that country isn't giving me 30k per year, then it's not worth putting my effort into running in that country anyway, because you split that over monthly and then weekly, it doesn't bring in enough revenue. So unless a country gives me enough demand and is going to give me enough revenue to contribute to my overall revenue of the business, then I don't want to be live there and waste my time on that anyway. I'd rather put my money into stock on a new product in US, UK, or Germany, whatever country where it is gonna be. However, having said that, EFN, we do use it to test other countries. For example, we've got stock in Germany, want to test Italy. If things go well, then what we'll do is we'll decide to then ship stock directly to that country if we believe it's going to drive enough revenue for us.
So when the Brexit happens, you're gonna have some stock in UK and in Germany, right?
Yeah, we've got stock in all of those countries, but we've been doing it for a while. But what I would say is, anybody that is doing Pan-EU now, this is a really good exercise for cleaning up your focus of the business, and say, look, this product that I'm selling in Italy that's giving me maybe 3k a month or something on a business that's doing 200k overall, what's that actually contributing? Like, what's that putting in your pocket? And perhaps you might say, well, I don't want to be in that country. However, you might be using Pan-EU to fulfill Germany, that's providing half of your revenue, and you're like, well, I need to act on this now. I need to speak to Simply VAT, which is why I did get the EORI number, and get registered, get the stock, and set up a supply chain for Germany as well. So I think it's good to reassess. A good time for people using Pan-EU to reassess: do I need Italy? Is it actually driving enough revenue? Because a lot of people in this who run Amazon brands are wanting to sell the business and exit for a big sum one day. Now, if a certain country is providing 2 or 3% revenue to that, to the overall revenue of your business, and not putting much on the bottom line, it doesn't equate to any bigger multiple when you come to valuation of the business. All it is a distraction, and it's taking up your time to run it. So I think now is a good time to take a step back, have a look, which countries do I want to be in, where is the demand, and then decide where you want to set up supply chains into each one.
All right, thank you very much, Lyden. I will ask now Brett something, but after this question, all who is on the panel, you could also, maybe you have a question to each other. We can bring those as well. Maybe it will be interesting to hear for the audience. And Brett, you are kind of, all others are representing Amazon sellers, but you are selling on other platforms. Do you have any suggestions for Amazon sellers to look into maybe different marketplaces to sell their products? You probably know what is a private label model, right? Like,
well, the thing is, there's many other ways to sell products around the world now. eBay is a massive part of what we do. They've re-energized themselves recently, and we find them quite easy to deal with now. We've opened in many local territories with them. Fnac and Price Minister in France are always good to work with. There's a new one in the UK called OnBuy, which we launched with maybe about 8 weeks ago, and we're amazed at how much traction there is. It's worked really well, and I would recommend anybody to go and have a look at that one. Then you find that if you want to go further afield into Japan, Asia, there are platforms as well that you can look at. As long as you've got your shipping correct, I don't think you need to have stock in all of those places. As long as you get your shipping correct from the UK, preferably tracked if you can, but if it's low value goods, then you have to work with what you've got. I think that if you're not, we started on eBay. We were on eBay only for 3 years. I think we predated Amazon Marketplace. So we built that up, and then we moved on to Amazon. It's going to continue to grow. I would see a lot of brands that exist at the moment will grow marketplaces, and they will be the new shopping centers in the next 5 or 10 years. And I think there's opportunities online will continue to grow. You've just got to try and pick the right ones. There'll be a lot of platforms that won't do so well, but there are some that will work. We're approached by new platforms on a regular basis, but unless they've got the backing behind them to bring the consumer to their site, it's very difficult to interact with them in the early stages. We really don't want to be the first one.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
you mentioned OnBuy, right? Is it correct? Yeah. OnBuy.com? Yeah, for those who want to look, it's quite new player, like 1 year old or something, right?
We find them very easy to talk to, whereas a lot of the Amazon, eBay businesses are automated, and you really have to talk to them via email. This one, because it's so new and young, is actually easy to integrate with, and they're getting a lot of traction with their consumers. I think they've got a big Q4 spend coming as well to market the platform.
Oh, cool.
And not as expensive commission-wise.
Brad,
Simas.
yes, I would like to ask you, since you are selling worldwide in the various countries, do you sell in Walmart? Do you have your opinion about it?
We are integrating at the moment with Walmart and expect to launch there, I think, in the next 10 days. It's been a difficult integration. They use a different back end to most other platforms. But we believe that they really want to get into this space, and they would be good to link up with.
Sorry, when you say difficult integration, you mean that you have some kind of API which allows you to monitor and control all the marketplaces from one software that you run. Am I right?
That's right. And if it's different, it doesn't fit in automatically. So we have to build something separate, which takes a little bit longer. and then it's trial and error with the platform. But we're very close to launching with them. We think that Walmart would be good. I'm not sure if they're taking on too many businesses from outside the US though, and it's our US business that will integrate with them to start with.
That's why we recently launched our C Corp to integrate Walmart, since Walmart announced that on Q4 they will close their stores probably, since that social distancing and so on, to avoid the overcrowded stores. So they are closing their stores, and probably all that amount of people will go to online. And we want to jump in and open Walmart store before that. So we decided to open a C Corp in the United States. So we hope you will.
I think we opened an LLC in the US, I think in 2011. And we've built from there. We have different suppliers in the US till we do in the UK business. We have different 3PL third-party distribution business over there in Chicago. And I think Walmart, if you can get on there, they're really well accepted and well loved by the American public. Whereas Amazon sometimes can have a lot of friction with US governments. Walmart are well liked. So I think over the next 5 years or so, it's a good play to get onto Walmart.
So the good tip is to register maybe a US company for your business in US. And Shelley, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, that's right. So I wanted to ask Brad about how you organize to ship out of the UK, and whether you have recommendations for sellers who do want to do their own fulfillment.
Well, we run the mail carriers ourselves. We don't have our distribution house do that for us, and we use maybe 5 or 6. Majoritively, it was going through Royal Mail. There's been a major price hike in the US, and we've farmed out to Belgium B Post and MHI. We use lost my thought about going into France. We have mail picked up on a daily basis and shipped to Lille and injected into La Poste via the La Poste system. And then we keep moving, because all of our businesses are small margins, and mail is a large part of the cost for that. We all focus on Amazon and eBay having large commission bases, but the mail companies take up a huge part of what we do. And you have to look around. They do change all the time. So we have no love of mail companies. We have a love of paying as little as possible to send them the same piece of mail to a different country. And they change all the time. So I've actually got 2 people that work on mail on a permanent basis. That's not sending the mail out. That's finding better mail routes and mail prices. Canada's a particular problem at the moment about delivering mail. It's a very slow system. It's quite an expensive system. So we have maybe 3 routes going at the same time. The thing for us, though, is we do have a lot of volume. I think we're in Royal Mail's top 50 customers in the UK for exports. And we do have a lot of traction with the mail companies that like the money we spend with them. But it is absolutely best to shop around to look for different mail routes into different territories. And then it depends what you want. If you're looking for a very fast delivery on a track service, you might go to an aggregator like P2P. If you're looking for a slow boat to the US, you might stick it on Royal Mail second class. It depends on your consumer and what they will accept from you and what they want. Do they want a cheaper price and slower delivery, or do they want a more expensive price and fast delivery? If you can offer both options, that's always good.
Can you just repeat the name of the aggregator? Was it PTP?
P2P.
P2P.
They were bought by FedEx last year.
Okay.
And there's another one called MHI. And also Whistle Post do international mail, and they're very good.
Okay.
If anybody wanted any contacts at any of these places, they can, I'm sure, come on later, Augustas, and I'm happy to put them
Alex, yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Brad, for your inputs. Let's see what audience is asking. Maybe Lyden, are you able to answer this kind of question? If you need a separate EORI number for every country where you hold the stock?
I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
let's bring
can
Alex. Yeah. Okay, Alex, what do you say?
You're muted, Alex.
We don't hear.
Oh, you're on mute, Alex.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you only need one EORI number for the whole of the EU, and then after Brexit, you'll need one for the UK. So you'll need a GB EORI number to continue to import into the UK, and then only one EORI number in one of the member states. It's supposed to be in the first port of entry country. So you'll EORI register in the first port of entry, and that will be your one EORI number for the whole of the EU looking forwards.
All right. Thank you very much. And sorry, there is another one question for Shelley. Someone wants to know which company do you use to incorporate in Estonia, or they should contact you privately?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm still deciding between two that I've been speaking to. I've gone through about 6, so I can probably privately message, but the two that I am talking to are One Office. They're just called oneoffice.com, I think, or estonia.ee. And the other one is Comistar. And what I'm trying to do actually is get them to offer a special package for Scaleforetail members. So if you join our Facebook community, it'll be put into there in due course.
All right. So we have a question for everyone. So do you target one country at a time when you're expanding? Lyden was touching on that. Invest effort and money into localization and PPC in a specific country. Lyden, can you help with this?
Yeah, 100%. So now obviously we're equipped. We've got like a team of 30 now, so a little bit more equipped to maybe tackle a couple of countries or worldwide domination at once, if you like. But I would recommend if you're just expanding to another country, first thing you'd want to do is take a look at your current product range. If you've got 5 or 6 products in the UK, for example, take a look at the European countries for each SKU and see where the demand is. So when I first started branching out into Europe 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't have the softwares that we have for US, UK, which told us rough keyword volume and rough sort of demand and sales volumes per product. But things like Managed by Stats, Zonguru, Helium 10, Jungle Scout, all these things will sort of give you an idea of whether there's a demand for your product in that country. And then you just got to take a look at profitability. Work out what your fees are going to be, because it's going to vary from country to country, and make sure not just that there's demand, but you can compete with your competitors in that country at a price point. Now, if it looks good and it's basically doing the same due diligence you would when you're launching in the country you're already in, just make sure that it's going to be right before you go into that country. And then in terms of localization, 100%, make sure that the keyword research is redone. It's not just a translation. You're sort of redoing your competitor analysis, making sure you understand what's important to the customer in that country, because different cultures differ and people buy things for different reasons in different countries. So just make sure that you're really focusing in and starting again. It's not just a case of translating the product and throwing it up and it's going to convert just because it works in the US. Between UK and US, there may be similar cultures, but and the same language, but there's products we sell in the US we wouldn't in the UK, and vice versa. So it's very important just to make sure you do all your research that the same way that you would do if you're starting out with a product.
All right, thank you very much. Shelley wants to add something.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so just like in the UK, if you were to create a listing, you'd go through a tool like Helium 10 or one of the others, and you'd look at what are the main keywords. And in fact, in our business, we produce a keyword database for every single product. And what we would do in the other European countries is we will produce that keyword database, like in French or in German or in Italian. And we make sure that when we hand over our listings to be translated, we use a company run by Jana, who's quite well known within Amazon circles, and I've trained her team to essentially know how to use the keyword database that we hand over to her, and so she produces our listings to my kind of specification using our keyword database. And I think that's what's critical to ranking. It's actually hugely simple to rank your products in some of the other countries. They are much less competitive, certainly than America, let alone the UK. I mean, Germany's a little bit more competitive, but certainly in France, Italy, and Spain, we normally rank within a couple of days with some of the products that we're into. And I think it's because we take that same kind of rigorous approach to creating listings that are both readable, both human, speak to the consumer, but also have the right kind of keywords tagged in them.
Thank you, Shelley. We have a question. You okay, Simas, you wanted to add something about different markets?
Yeah. So my strategy is when I launch the product, I launch in every country where I'm selling, no matter what the product is. Well, sometimes depends on the country-based regulations. Like I can't sell pet supplies in USA for some kind of product, so there's FDA regulation. But so if there's no specific country-based regulation on that specific product, so I usually launch in all countries where I'm selling. I do translations. I will support Shelley with the Jana YLT translations. Yeah, so I'm using their service. I really recommend you use their service. They do great translations. Keyword research can be done automatically when you run PPC campaign with the auto campaign. Then you harvest keywords from that auto campaign that converts, and it's kind of easy way. And yeah, what we pay is that some products they sell very well in Italy, but do not sell in Germany, or they sell very well in Spain, but doesn't sell in Italy, and so on. But who cares? When you set up the product, you set up for whole Europe. When we are using pan-European, then we launch in all the countries, and we collect like the income and revenues collectively out of all the Europe, and we calculate how many products do we sell per day, calculating like Europe as a region, the Europe and USA as a region. And we say that if we can sell 50 units per day in whole Europe, we don't care where we are getting these sales coming from, either from Spain, Italy, or France. It's 50. So that's how we do.
All right, thank you very much. We do have a question about what softwares do you use, but it's quite broad question. Maybe everyone can share a software which will be very important during Q4 to plan and maybe to check daily some information. Lyden, you mentioned managed by stats. You use it for profit tracking, right?
Yeah, we use it for a lot of different things. We've got nearly every software out there. I'm useless for when a new feature comes out, I'll sign up to it. So I have to keep a check on me with that. But coming back to Q4 and planning and stuff like that, something that we use is a software called SoStocked. And it really helps with inventory management. There's been a lot of softwares out there over the years, and we've always reverted back to Google Sheets and stuff like that. But a company called SoStocked have set up a pretty good inventory tracking software. And that's something that we're using to really improve our inventory process at the moment, because if you don't have stock, you can't sell the product, you can't make money, right? So stock's the most important thing in this game as we enter the busy period. So SoStocked is something I would check out.
Thank you. Could you write in the comments, Lyden, how do you spell SoStocked so that people know? And Simas, what softwares are the most important for you this quarter?
Well, for stock management, we set up our own app. We have an IT guy who developed our personal app that is tailor-made for our own processes, since it's very hard to have the stock management tool like that would be in the market for us, for our business. So for stock management, our own app. For profit analytics, it's we use Seller Board, and yeah, probably the most used tools. Helium 10 for keyword tracking. Getida.com. Recently, we launched the campaign with them just to check out the money we didn't receive from Amazon. What else? Yeah, probably the basics. I don't know. We have some very small apps just to try out. Zoof.com probably for tracking, keyword positions. And
All right.
there are some apps like Rebate Key for rebates for launching campaigns. But
Okay, thank you. And here is the website which was mentioned by Lyden, so stocked.com, if someone didn't see. Brad probably is using completely different softwares, right? For the business?
We do it ourselves. We've built it up over many, many years. And when you're tracking maybe 1 million different products, you need something that's going to be very quick and very fast. So we've just built it up over a period of time ourselves. I don't really have any links to give to you because we've got internal developers and they would be the ones. So if we were going to launch with Walmart, we would just work it out internally how we're going to do it and develop what we need ourselves. We do keep track of all products that we sell in every territory around the world. And the system looks at maybe 70 to 100 million products and price changes a day worldwide in local currency.
Cool. Thank you very much. And Shelley, do you have any software to add to the list of all what has been mentioned?
No, I mean, it depends what area you're talking about. My main piece of software for profit management is managed by Stats. Helium 10 is for keyword tracking. If I'm ever doing, a campaign of any kind, a marketing campaign, then I might use URLs from Pixelfy Me, or if I'm talking about my Instagram accounts, then I use later.com. It depends. There are so many different pieces of software out there for every different possible problem that you might want to solve.
Yes.
And I'd be happy to talk specifically, but out of the top of my head, those are the main ones.
All right. So to finalize, could you, all of you, give us very short few sentences what you would advise for online sellers to properly plan the changes in 2020? There will be tax changes, especially for Amazon sellers. It's not only taxes, it's also the fulfillment, how it will be organized. So how not to freak out and to be calm and relaxed. I'm sure there will be additional finances involved, so probably they have to plan something. I don't know, Simas, do you have any advice for Amazon sellers?
Okay, so for Q4 and Brexit, probably the two words: know your numbers. That's it. When you know your numbers, it's easy to make a decision.
Thank you very much. Lyden, do you have anything?
Yeah, so thanks, Simas, for stealing my one. But yeah, no, I agree with you there. So we track our numbers daily, tracking our conversion rates, our sales, and stuff like that. It just allows you the ability to react quickly to changes. But one thing I will say is for Q4, have enough stock, which I run out of stock every year across some products. But so it's very, very difficult to predict. But just make sure you don't underestimate the amount of stock you're going to need. If you don't have the stock, you can't make the sales. Then when it comes to Brexit, it's just start planning now. Start planning now. If you're selling across Europe and stuff, take that step back. Take a look at the countries that are really driving the revenue for you, and just making sure you go ahead now. There's a lot of people in the same boat. There's going to be a lot of applications for new VAT numbers, EORI numbers, and stuff like that, and there's going to be delays. So you don't want to cut off a revenue stream because you weren't prepared and didn't get the right. You weren't compliant in time. Come January the 1st.
Thank you very much. And Brad, do you have anything? You have such a big experience, 15 years online.
I think that my best advice is don't panic. that just look at it very slowly, try and work it out. Just to reiterate a couple of the bits the other guy said, which is about know your numbers. We're a very old-fashioned business. I like to know on a Friday if we've made any money or not that week. So we do break down every product we sell to everybody we sell it to as to the profit line within it. Now, you don't need to make a profit on everything you sell, but you need to make a profit on enough that you sell to be able to come out with an overall profit at the end. And those numbers will be very important going forward, because as tax changes and as margin changes, as Amazon move their prices around, it has to be fed in there. You have to react very quickly to it. I think that for online sellers, we're at the beginning of a very large leap up. I think that sales will grow dramatically over the next 3 years, but you have to do the basics right now. Never expect it to stay the same. If you go back 3 years, our competitors were different. The mechanics that we used, the algorithms we used were all different, and we just evolved with them. So don't panic with it. Just think it all through, but know your numbers.
Thank you very much. And Shelley, you have the last word. Open the cards.
Well, I do think it's important to try and plan for Brexit and to do your prep for that now. You can go down the route if you're a much bigger business and you're very invested in pan-EU FBA, for example, where there's difficulty changing 8-9 VAT registrations, of trying to wait to see what happens if you're a UK business and to try and work through what the issues will be for a UK business. But if you're a smaller and more nimble seller, like I think I am, I would strongly recommend that you find a way to go around it, that you don't get bogged down necessarily too much in what will or will not happen. You just work on the facts that you've got right now. And going back to Q4 and knowing your numbers, you know, we sit there when we plan a product and after it's launched and through its life cycle, we are monitoring the profit per SKU, per country, because as Lyden mentioned, there are different taxes or there are different costs that you need to account for. So of course, my products in Germany, France, Italy, Spain have both individual pricing and also are much more expensive than the UK because of what it has been, what the costs have been to ship them using the European fulfillment network. So as things change, I make sure that I adjust pricing. I have to pass it on to the customer. I'm too small a business to just absorb that into my margins and lose money. I would disappear tomorrow if that's how I operated. So it really is important to continue to monitor that and not be afraid to just adjust prices. I am in some categories the highest priced product, and I may potentially sacrifice some volume for that, but at least I'm making money. And what I have found in some other categories that I'm in, that where everybody dropped their pants, they are now no longer there, but I still am. And so I think it is very important to make sure that you're running your business with the kind of profit or margin that is both sensible for you as well as the customer, as well as the marketplace. You are inevitably in a really competitive environment when you're on Amazon or any other online space, because everybody can see how you compare. But if your quality is wonderful, and that's another thing that I focus on, that matters a lot to me, and you are really harnessing what customers want, they will pay a little bit more, particularly if your reviews are wonderful. And so that's the only way to manage your margins.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being on this panel. Oh, I hear myself. All right, Alex.
Yeah, I'll take it back over. Thank you so much. So that concludes our Brexit Bootcamp webinar series. I want to thank Augustas for moderating today. It's so helpful. Simas, Shelley, Brad, and Lyden for taking part in answering our questions and giving loads of valuable insight. I was just sitting here just oogling, so that was so great. We will be sending out an ebook summarizing the key takeaways from the whole entire event. So over all the last 4 days, the key things that we thought that were useful. So look out in your inbox for this ebook to be arriving next week. And if you're watching the recorded version and you want access to the ebook, please click on the link in the description below where you can download for free. And if you have found these sessions useful, you can follow us on all of our social media channels, and you can keep up to date with the latest information. And if you haven't had your questions answered yet, you can get in contact with us directly, and we can either answer them ourselves or point you in the direction of the person who can. So thank you all so much for taking part, tuning in, and we will see you very soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.